Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. And we've got an exciting show for you tonight. Mr. Tim Pate's here. How are you doing, Tim?
I am very good, Paul. How are you tonight?
Very well. It's a little disappointing after the big election here where we lost some crucial marijuana votes nationwide, but we'll talk more about that in a minute, I'm sure.
We'll have some conversation concerning that, that's for sure.
Yeah. So we have some film clips we'll be playing. Tim's got some music for you. We're going to talk about the news with these elections and take your phone calls in just a few minutes. So stay tuned as we bring on our infamous Dancing Cannabis Leaves.
I feel the force.
They're so cute, dancing leaf to leaf like that. Well, here is Mr. Tim Pate. Hey, Tim.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, it's harvest here in the field of opportunity, even though our harvest in the terms of the votes this past week were not what we wanted. The outdoor harvest has turned out pretty good for many of us, and this is a nice little spear here. You know, we are taking your phone calls at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. And we have a caller. Welcome to our show, caller. Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thanks. Well, too bad 74 didn't pass. That sucks.
Yeah, it's disappointing. It would have created a lot of jobs and helped a lot of patients. You know, in the end, though, I think the outcome was about the same as it was back in 2004 when they had a similar bill. You know, there were a lot of differences. this bill should have been more palatable to voters, but you know, we were going against a big national tide as well, where the conservative voters came out and our young supporters didn't. So
when will this ballot come out again for voting? A year, 2 years?
Well, here in Oregon, there is a 2-year cycle. So the next, you can only get on general election ballots, and that's the same one where your congressional candidates are voted on. So it's not till November 2012 that we can vote on initiatives here in Oregon again. And so we are currently circulating a sponsorship petition to completely legalize marijuana and to legalize industrial hemp under our proposal, and you can find out more about it at cannabistaxact.org or our web portal, hemp.org, HEMP.org. And from that website, you can get more information. But we're starting to collect sponsorship signatures, and we should have the petition out before the spring.
Awesome. I could support that.
Great.
So as far as votes goes for 74, what were the positive numbers to the negative?
It was 46 point, what was it? 43 point something to 54 point something. So roughly it was 46 to 54.
That's not a
Or,
landslide.
yeah,
That's not
something
horrible.
like that. Well, no, it was 43 to 56. That was it. 43, 56.
Okay.
With
Well,
some
that's not a
odd
landslide.
numbers in
That's
there,
not too
some
bad.
points on both ends.
Okay.
And then in California, they ended up with 46% of the vote and roughly 52.5 or 53% against it.
God, if I were to bet on this, I would have said it would have passed. I'm
There's one
surprised.
bill that might pass yet. It's down by 600 votes in the state of Arizona, Proposition 203 for medical marijuana. And it's only down by 600 votes, and there's still 300,000 provisional votes to count. So if 52% of those provisional votes go toward Prop 203 in Arizona, then Arizona will get a medical marijuana law this year. So they're still working on that recount.
You know, Prop 203 Arizona, all we need is just one door to open up, and then the floodgates will open.
Yeah.
You just need one door. So if this 203 goes through, that will do it for everybody else.
It would certainly
I hope it
help,
goes
especially
through.
for the people in Arizona.
Yeah. It will help for us as well.
Yeah, it would
California.
set up
No,
dispensaries
that's-
in Arizona
California
as
is gonna
well
do
and
it
allow.
because of the revenue they bring in.
Yeah, you know,
I'm
after analyzing the elections, what I think, honestly, is that the revenue portions are being overblown. And that when you look at the amount of money, say, Prop 19 would have raised in California, it's a drop in the bucket when it comes to their total deficit. What we've got to concentrate on, and what always wins in American politics, is public safety. If we can make this about legalizing and regulating marijuana is going to protect the public and increase public safety, then we can win. And that's what we're trying to do with our proposal to tax and regulate marijuana. And so we want to stop the black market, take it out of the hands of the drug cartels and the kids and substance abusers, and put it in state stores where it's regulated and controlled, limiting crime and limiting the money that goes to these illegal enterprises.
And it surprises me even more so that hemp didn't go through. I mean, hemp doesn't even have THC in it. Hemp,
Yeah, it doesn't
as far
have
as a
much.
material for sales, clothing, it is cotton or wool, but with less itching to it.
If you go to a book called The Great Book of Hemp and turn to page 3, it says that the companies I founded, Tree Free, Eco Paper, Rope Walk Paper and Fiber Company, were the first companies to import hemp fabric and hemp paper in many generations. And I sold hemp paper for a good decade. And I'm an expert on non-wood paper, hemp and other types. But I'm ready to, help relaunch the hemp industries here in America, and I think a number of celebrities are as well. We should
Why
have.
not? It's a weed. It grows. It needs less to grow than anything else.
It produces more fiber, food, and fuel than any other plant on this planet. That doesn't even take the flowers and the medicine into account.
I just don't see how they could, have a protest on hemp. It doesn't even have THC in it.
Well, that's what marijuana prohibition's all about. It's not about marijuana. It's not about the drug. That's a smokescreen. It's really about money, power, and industrial hemp. The only reason marijuana was made illegal was to protect the petrochemical industry and the wood-based paper industry and prohibition agents' jobs.
Huh. It
Anyway, I
sounds
want
like
to thank you
Ford
for your phone call.
Biodiesel and Rockefeller Standard Oil.
Yeah,
Same thing.
that had a lot to do with it.
Right.
All right, well, you have a good evening, and thanks for your call and your comments.
Hey, thanks for the info, and I'll be sure to go online and support that.
Yeah, just look at
Great.
hemp.org, HEMP.org. That's our web portal.
Hemp.org. You have a good night, man.
Thank you.
We are.
This is our award-winning lemon pledge strain.
This is Lemon Pledge. Oh,
Yeah, this is lemon pledge.
Okay.
And then over here we have some New York City diesel, a diesel variety. And
Let me smell that one.
smell that one. Why don't you? If you're out there, too bad you don't have smell-o-vision. You know, we've said that for many years. But if you're out there and you have a question for us about ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, or helping medical marijuana patients, and you can call us. That number that'll be on your screen in a minute, it's 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. There it is.
Very fresh.
If you're watching online, or you want to watch online, you can watch us at ustream.tv. That's the letter U, STREAM.tv, like it says down there on your screen now. And if you're watching online, you can text a question in. Just text a question into the chat box there off to the right of the screen, and through the magic of cell phone technology, it will be transferred to us, and we'll be able to make pronouncements. There, that's the one.
There you go.
Anyway. So yeah, the vote was disappointing, in South Dakota was probably the most
What
disappointing.
happened there? I didn't hear.
It
Tell me.
lost overwhelmingly, where it had lost 4 years ago 45 to 55%. This year it lost 65 to 35%. Only 35% of it lost 10 percentage points. It's really kind of unusual. It went down. It's only it failed pretty miserably.
Maybe all those people who wanted it moved away.
Maybe that's it, or they didn't like the fact they had to vote on it again so shortly thereafter. Maybe that had something to do with it.
Interesting.
Or it was just the electorate turnout. You know, I think if Prop 19 had been on the ballot in 2008, or ballot measure 74 had been on the ballot in 2008, we had a lot different voter turnout. We had a lot of younger people,
more
liberal-minded, where the conservative people seem to be energized and come out to the polls to support conservative issues. It was just the opposite of the electorate back 2 years ago.
That's true. It's true.
And so
I watched
we saw a huge turnover. I think they said it was the biggest turnover in the United States Congress in 75 years. So the biggest party switch from one party to another. So
hey, times change. You know,
and we can just hope that by the time November 2012 rolls around, 2 short years from now, the electorate will change yet again and be ready for our Oregon Cannabis Tax Act here in Oregon, because we're going to put it on the ballot this time, and we could use your support. Find out more about it. Just go to our website at HEMP.org. Or specifically, you could go to CannabisTaxAct.org as well. Cannabis Tax Act.
it's kind of like handing somebody who just wrecked your car the keys again, you know?
Giving the
Republicans
control back to the
Yeah.
folks who wrecked the economy the last time?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
so anyway, we can now Massachusetts. Something was going on back there. There were
there were a
questions. How did
number
that
of
go?
city initiatives. They went pretty well. I think every one of those passed.
There you go. I'm
And
glad to hear that.
so,
At least we have some victory.
Yeah, that is
You know,
true.
I measure. You and I have been in this such a long time. We both know that there were days when we would have never expected that many people to be on our side for any issue. And so when I think that there's been over 400 and nearly 50,000 people who said, you know what, that's not a bad idea. Let's do that here in this state. And that there was a 4% swing in the voter electorate would have created a tie, or may have swung it even more in our direction. You know, 4 to 5% is a very minor amount. To me, that's a matter of education. As we continue our education, I personally feel that we are still not doing the best job we could of demonstrating to the public and those people who are on the conservative side why this is such important medicine to the people who do it and are willing to risk their lives, their reputations, and their legal status to do it on a constant basis, regardless of where they live and throughout the United States. And I think when we make that point to these folks hard on nose, they'll get it. When it's their mother or their brother or their sister who has cancer,
they change, don't they?
Yes, they do.
We see a lot of people who wouldn't have thought of it once their family member or they themselves are struck with cancer. Then
exactly.
Change in their attitude. We have a question from studio audience member here. Hi there.
Go for it.
Hi. I'd just like you to express your views on all those vets that are going to be coming home in the next couple of years who will be voting, needing that medication for their post-traumatic stress disorder and the rest of their pains.
Mm-hmm. It's an alarming rate now of veterans who are committing suicide coming back.
Yeah, I think more veterans are committing suicide than are dying in combat.
It's alarming.
Pretty
As somebody who spent 17 years directing crisis centers and spending time around crisis centers, I find when we eliminate one of our best tools in our panoply of drugs to help.
The Israeli Army, the Israeli Defense Force, or IDF, they use cannabis for post-traumatic stress.
Specifically.
Yeah, and there were a number of Canadian soldiers from Afghanistan went to Israel so they could use medical marijuana for their post-traumatic stress.
Sounds like wise people.
And so in the United States, only California and New Mexico will allow doctors to recommend medical marijuana for post-traumatic stress.
We've attempted it here in Oregon. It hasn't succeeded yet.
Yeah, there's been a lot of moves in every state to add conditions to the list of medical marijuana conditions that doctors can recommend marijuana for, but haven't been able to get post-traumatic stress anywhere but California, which it was grandfathered in initially, and then New Mexico as well added it as one of the conditions.
So we have an effort now over the next 2 years to get this thing going. Now we're in the process of getting 1,000 signatures. Is that the case?
Yes, I think we actually have our 1,000 signatures, but we're going to gather a little bit extra.
Yes.
And we'd like to, because the signatures we gather, these sponsorship signatures, count against the total number of signatures that we'll need. And we won't really know the total number of signatures we need for an initiative here in Oregon until the vote is certified. And it's going to be 6% of the total number of votes cast in the gubernatorial election for a statutory initiative. And our proposal, the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, is a statutory petition. For constitutional amendments through the initiative process, you've got to get 8% or a third more signatures than you need for a statutory measure. But it's based on the number of votes in the gubernatorial election. Myself, I did not vote in the gubernatorial election because I couldn't vote for Dudley. And after Kitzhaber signed the bill to recriminalize marijuana back in 1997, which forced us to gather signatures. In the legislature in 97, they passed a bill to recriminalize simple possession of marijuana by a 2-to-1 margin. And then Governor Kitzhaber hemmed and hawed over it and then signed it. And then we had to get 90,000 signatures, and we stopped it from going into effect. And then it was voted on in 1998. It was ballot measure 57 in 1998. And we got 70% of the vote. We got 2-to-1. We won every single county in the state to stop recriminalization of marijuana. And exactly the opposite of what the legislature had done. But I certainly can't support Kitzhaber, and he didn't support ballot measure 74. He didn't support medical marijuana when we passed it. He's been an opponent of marijuana all along, and I just couldn't bring myself to support him. Now, I supported the other Democratic candidate, Bill Bradbury.
I did too.
But I have to say, that's my own political opinion I'd like to add.
Well, it's we need to find a way to turn public opinion into public policy.
Yeah,
we really do. And as long as we continue voting for the right people, that'll happen. And we need to keep pressure on the governor now that he is governor, but he doesn't have a mandate. That's obvious. And so it's a mandate now to cooperate with all the other people out there, it seems to me.
If you have a question for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. And we've got a studio audience member and a question on hold. Let's take the studio audience member first. Go right ahead.
Just a statement on the what we keep bringing up. It's a food product. It's a biodiesel, leftovers, food, fantastic. The sulfur dioxide, non-existent in this, barely ever gets mentioned on that. Considering what a hardship it is for the world, putting that stuff into the air, it seems like we should bring it up a little bit more frequently.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, when you use biodiesel fuel or hemp seed oil for fuel, it is the most productive seed oil source by a factor of at least 3 to 1. And when you use it, there are no toxic byproducts from the combustion, where burning petroleum diesel fuel is highly toxic. It creates this small particulate matter that's responsible for thousands, tens of thousands of deaths every year here in the United States alone. So with biodiesel fuel, you don't have any of that. Here in Portland and in Spokane and Kansas City, Missouri, and many other cities now, they run on a biodiesel blend, and they find by mixing in 20% biodiesel fuel, and most of this is soybean oil or canola oil, when they mix that with petroleum diesel, it cuts the emissions of these small particulates by 70%. So by adding 20% biodiesel, they cut the toxic emissions by 70%. And of course, if you burn 100% biodiesel, there's no toxic emissions. So that's another aspect to the whole biofuel hemp puzzle that we don't bring out often enough. We have another caller, though, on the telephone. Welcome to the show.
Hi, see, I've got two. Hello, can you
yes, we can.
Hear me?
Yes,
we can hear you, yes.
Okay. I'd like to point out the hypocrisy of both the Republican and the Democratic gubernatorial candidates for this last election. Number one, when Dudley was being interviewed, when he finally conceded the election the other night, he was standing in front of a Mexican restaurant, and one of the things he said with his children standing right alongside of him, that he was going to go back inside and have a margarita. And then Kitzhaber, the next day, he was going to be going into a brew pub. Now, I don't have anything against anybody having a margarita occasionally or having a brew. But the point is that the so-called heathen devil weed, cannabis, has been so vilified by all of these morons who don't know what the hell they're talking about, and yet alcohol is such a toxic drug that creates so much violence, and I don't know of anybody, I never heard of anybody getting violent on cannabis alone. Have you?
No, that just doesn't happen. You know, it's interesting, there's a big study that came out last week from Britain that showed that you know, alcohol and tobacco were far more harmful, as is cocaine and methamphetamine and heroin, but marijuana comes way down at the bottom of the list in terms of the danger inherent in the substance. What we have to keep hitting home is that marijuana is a lot safer than alcohol, so why can't we regulate it at least at the same level that alcohol is? We shouldn't be prohibiting something that is safer than any of the alternatives that are out there. And so many of us would much prefer to vaporize or smoke some cannabis instead of having a couple of drinks or alcoholic beverages. Even though I myself enjoy a little bit of wine now and then, and you know, I'm not 100% teetotaler by any means, but at the same time, I much prefer cannabis to alcohol 99% of the time.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And then the other thing I was going to mention was we could completely turn around the health of this country, not only with the air pollution that you guys were just previously acknowledging, but if we quit growing a bunch of pro-inflammatory foods, that again I say is pro-inflammatory foods like corn, wheat, barley, rye, and oats, which all make the body become acidic, and we started letting those people eat hemp seeds, not only would they reverse a lot of their diseases, they'd be a hell of a lot healthier, and the air would be a lot cleaner too.
We're going to have a show here in about a couple of weeks, the last weekend of November, where Charles Holmes.
Right after Thanksgiving.
Yes, the day after Thanksgiving. We're going to almost entire hour discussing hemp foods, and it's advantageous.
Living Harvest, right?
Yes, indeed.
Living Harvest.
So the
we promoted
founder.
their foods here for many years. So it'll be interesting to,
Very
to
excited.
have
He's
some
coming
of
down from
the
Canada just to be on our show.
some of the people who are working on that come here to talk to us.
That's right. So we're going to have to talk more about that very soon. Your topic is right on.
Right
Very
after
good.
Thanksgiving. What an appropriate time after
Yes.
the big feast day here in the U.S.
Yeah, and everybody's eating all their sugar and drinking all their booze and just creating more health havoc for our
It
health
can be that
insurance
way.
cost. So it's just insane what we keep on doing. But
There are some
you
better
know,
ways.
that's the
We're
typical-
investigating them. We're going to present them to you.
What's that?
I said there are some better ways, and we've been investigating them, and we're going to present them to you.
Yeah, and if you want something to back up what I said about the pro-inflammatory foods, go to Dr. Evan Pericone's article in the November of 2005 issue of Life Extension magazine. I believe their website is called lifeext.org, and look up when he said about avoiding pro-inflammatory foods. And he said he had a whole list at the end of his article. It said to avoid, and it was bread, pasta, crackers, cookies, pizza, chips, corn, popcorn, all the refined sugars, which just create disease in the body. And it's if you know any good naturopathic doctors, they'll tell you all exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
but the American Medical Association, I believe, wants job security, and they will never ever let you know how safe cannabis is and how beneficial hemp seeds are, because they basically want job security.
Well, that's why we have this show. Get that word out, and we appreciate you sharing that with our audience.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, boys. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
That's
Yeah.
always timely, because everybody has to eat every day.
That's true. That's true. Might get by a day or two without it.
Not
but
very
that's
often.
about it.
I haven't for a while.
It's kind of tough.
Yeah.
If you have a question or comment about ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, or helping medical marijuana patients, then you can call us right now on the night of November 5th, 2010 at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. We have a little film clip we're going to roll for you now, and we'll be back in just a second to talk about the clip and take more viewer phone calls. Stay tuned.
This was the ultimate achievement in Anslinger's relentless crusade to criminalize marijuana use.
To Harry Jacob Anslinger, distinguished citizen, in your dedicated efforts to combat the illegal traffic in narcotic drugs, you have fashioned an effective organization to pursue this objective. Your noteworthy achievements in this field have earned for you the respect of the world community. Signed, John F. Kennedy.
In leaving the bureau he'd built up under 5 different presidents, Anslinger warned his successors of an impending drug revolution, which he felt would be nothing less than an assault on the foundations of Western civilization.
Responsibility only to oneself. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of pleasure. The new Declaration of Independence for the teenager around the world. Smoke a joint, burn a little grass. Pot party, roach party, mainliner, skin popping, shoot some crystal. The language of the narcotic and marijuana user. The language of a large and ever-increasing number of teenagers. Starting in high school on Benzedrine and Dexedrine pep pills, it is not long before many soon graduate to marijuana. For some, it quickens sexual desire. For some, it is the release of sexual inhibitions. But whatever it is, teenagers are going for it. And may be the forerunner of a new drug society out of some science fiction writer's imagination.
Will drugs pave the road to destruction for the now generation?
On campuses across the country, a whole new generation discovered drugs. Rebellious and willing to experiment, they found they liked altering their consciousness.
Do you smoke pot? Yes, I do. Do you smoke marijuana?
Yes.
Do you smoke pot?
I've been smoking pot for about a year.
Have you found it addictive?
Oh, no. I go for months and months without smoking it, and then I'll smoke a lot, maybe in a week.
Well, the argument is made that pot leads to the addiction to heroin or other narcotics. Have you found this to be so among the people that you know?
No, not at all.
The people who use the stronger drugs, the opiates, etc., are not the people who smoke marijuana, and the people who smoke marijuana do not use the other drugs.
Gradually, the perception that marijuana was dangerous began to change. Many students saw smoking grass as a rejection of establishment values, a way of declaring their independence.
Over bridge of sighs, to rest my eyes in shades of green, under dreaming spires, to Ichiku Park, that's where I've been. What did you do there? I got high. What did you feel there? Well, I cried. But why the tears there? Tell you why. It's all too beautiful. It's all too beautiful. It's all too beautiful. It's all too beautiful. Blow my mind, guitar, feed the ducks with a bun. They all come out to groove about, be nice and have fun in the sun.
At this point, we are going to leave Golden Gate Park to go into the Haight-Ashbury district of San Francisco. The last 18 months has seen a tremendous increase of the so-called hippies. This is a protest against the middle and upper class people of San Francisco, in fact, of the area. It is the belief of the people who live within the area that we, the middle class, have done a very, very poor job in running our government and our way of life.
This weekend, Jefferson Airplane on Friday, Grateful Dead on Saturday, the Carousel Ballroom, high above Market and Van Ness.
Anybody hungry? Hey, how about we order some Chinese? Order some Chinese to do what?
Federal Bureau of Narcotics, please hold. Federal Bureau of Narcotics, please hold. Federal Bureau of Narcotics, please hold.
The new head of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics, Henry Giordano, began to realize he had a problem. To address it, he developed a campaign he hoped would be believable to the younger generation. If you smoke marijuana, you will become an unmotivated, dysfunctional loser.
Pammy's on a bummer now.
She's on a bummer now.
I guess so.
She's an unmotivated loser.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like I don't know.
Yeah,
No,
no.
we aren't unmotivated losers.
No, I do have my Jerry Garcia tie on, though.
Okay, well,
There
that's
you go.
good. I'm not wearing mine tonight.
Oh.
My wife's got me a good number of those.
That's cool. That's cool. My son gave me this one.
We are taking your phone calls right now. You can call us at 503-288-4448. We have a caller standing by. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hello.
Hello.
Howdy.
I have a comment on the elections.
Okay.
When I watch a lot of TV, there was a lot of political ads on.
Oh, yeah.
I only saw one ad for
the dispensary thing here in Oregon?
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with why it wasn't passed.
I think
You
so,
know.
too.
Yeah. So somehow or other, everybody's got to get motivated to send their change into
To support our efforts.
Yeah, to support. If we ever want this to pass, it's got to have support, monetary support,
Right.
not just people saying, "Oh yeah, it should pass." You know?
Media exposure is very important. I mean, this television show is, and a few newspapers, even though most of the coverage was to an extent negative, we were getting coverage, just not a lot of coverage, and there were so many other issues out there, and politicians who were banging on each other, just because of the races they did dominate all of the airwaves. There's no doubt about it.
They have so much money coming in from everywhere.
You just look at the California governor's race. Meg Whitman, who lost, spent $160 million to lose. And the entire Proposition 19 campaign, including the signature drive, cost about $4 million.
Right.
And so the George Soros kicked in $1 million with a week to spare. That wasn't enough, really, to make a big difference.
Right.
If they'd put just a quarter of the money that went into that thing with between Whitman and Jerry Brown down in California, we would have saturated the airwaves in our favor.
Right. And that's what we have to look at for next time, for 2012, is to get people motivated to support it. If they really want to support it, it's got to be monetary.
It's not too late to start. You can start right now. We want to break the record and turn in our petition earlier than any other petition in state history to legalize marijuana and industrial hemp here in Oregon. And you can find out more about it by going to hemp.org and scrolling down just a little ways, or go to cannabistaxact.org as well, and both of those sites will give you a lot of information. I know at cannabistaxact.org there's a way to donate online, and so political contributions in Oregon are subject to a tax credit of up to $50 a person, or $100 for married couples filing jointly.
Okay.
And so that's kind of like free money, So if you haven't given it before and you give it now, you'll get it back when you file your state taxes next year.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know. And also on the History Channel this past week, they had something about marijuana.
I heard about that. Chronic, the history of marijuana. I didn't see that. Did you?
Yes, I did. And, usually History Channel just puts marijuana down just totally. But they had NORML on there. They had a whole bunch of people, went through the Hemp for Victory and all kinds of stuff. It was really great. It was an hour show, and it was,
When you say
really
they had
good.
NORML, did they have Keith Stroup and Alan St. Pierre? Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Good.
So, okay. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you
and
for that report.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Appreciate that. Thanks for your call. She is absolutely right about our supporters backing us financially. That's always a big thing. Thing is, so many of them are saving up for the next nickel or gram or something that they can get out there.
True. Very sick.
Barely trying to make ends meet. But we're working to build financial support. And if you're interested in supporting our cause to legalize marijuana and industrial hemp, find out more. Go to hemp.org, HEMP.org. That number right down there, HEMP.org. And you scroll down to the Cannabis Tax Act, or go to cannabistaxact.org as well to find out more about our efforts to end adult marijuana prohibition.
Indeed.
But yeah, it's a sad thing that these votes went down the way they did. But, we'll live to fight another day.
We already have.
We have another caller. Welcome to our show, caller.
Uh-huh.
You can see I haven't trimmed these buds. but
I'm
they're
sorry?
pretty. I haven't trimmed the leaves off these buds here, but this is one of my favorites. I wish you could smell it there at home.
Yeah, indeed.
You'd be impressed. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you? My name's Bo, by the way.
Hello.
Very well. Very
Good to have
well.
you on the show.
Welcome.
I just happened to come across the live stream here on Facebook, and I really, one of my main things about the whole legalization effort is I really kind of want to have like almost a hands-off. I don't personally want to have governments taxing, regulating this and that. I wish they would just decriminalize, legalize, and
leave it alone.
Well, one of the things that we will do if our proposal makes a ballot is any individual will be able to cultivate their own without a license. As long as you aren't selling it, you won't have to get a license or registration or pay any tax at all. If it's a non-commercial transaction or non-commercial cultivation, then under our proposal there would be no artificial limits on the amount cultivated and no license needed for individual people to grow their own.
And that sounds great too, but like the way what happened with alcohol and cigarettes and everything, they really clamped down on the whole commerce bit, and to be able to freely grow and distribute, sell, and everything without having to pay taxes, without having to do this and that. I do take a bit of a libertarian standpoint on it, but
Sure.
It's just.
Well, I was registered as a libertarian for about a dozen years myself, but you know, what we're trying to do is find a political ground that can win and take it where people aren't going to jail. Right now, if you grow this in most places in this country, you're going to be put in jail. And I agree it should be free. You know, as a medical caregiver, I grow it and give it away for free to patients. So I'm doing that. I'm not only talking the talk, I'm walking the walk. But to win the election and get the people who don't smoke it and don't care about it to vote in our favor, we're going to have to regulate the sale of the drug to adults. Now, another thing our proposal would do is it would legalize unregulated and unrestricted industrial hemp, so people could grow hemp without any license. And in fact, some of the proceeds from the sale of marijuana to adults would go to support reintroduction and development of Oregon industries for hemp for fuel and hemp for food and fiber. So we dedicate 2%.
And actually, one other thing too, if you guys are successful in passing this sort of
initiative,
new laws, would there be any chance that you guys would continue fighting for total free trade if you were to achieve that?
You bet.
Well, fight's never over until everyone's
I love
free.
to hear that.
We're working for global cannabis freedom. You know, there are people in prison in Malaysia who are facing execution. They execute people there for 300 grams of cannabis or more.
That's horrible.
And what we want to do is end marijuana prohibition and establish global cannabis freedom. And we think when we do, within a few short years, we'll see most of our cars running on hemp seed oil. We see most of our clothes being made out of hemp fiber. We'll see most of our paper and building materials being made from hemp fiber. We'll see a lot of hemp seed protein on the market and a reduction in global warming from deforestation and a reduction in the carbon being pumped into the atmosphere out of the ground by restoring industrial hemp. So all of that is what we're working for.
Great. Well, we'll keep up the good fight, guys.
Where are you calling from? Are you here in the Portland area?
No, I'm actually in Florida.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for calling.
Well,
We
thank
appreciate
you.
that. You saw it on Facebook. That's good to know, and watching on Ustream. Well, thanks for calling. We appreciate it.
Yep,
absolutely. All right, thank you.
Have a good time down there in the Sunshine State. If you have
Florida, huh?
Florida.
Right on.
Give us a call at 503-288-4448. We have a little film clip we're going to roll, and we'll be back in just a moment after you find out about the Green Goddess.
The following trailer contains real marijuana. Legend has it that deep within the THC crystal of the marijuana plant, there lives a goddess. A goddess so incredible that meeting her will transform your life forever.
She's magnificent, glorious, beautiful, delicious.
I want to meet her.
You start with a strain like this, nurture her, worship her. When your mind is open, she will come.
When their leader is arrested, 3 friends will travel halfway across the world, plant 25,000 marijuana plants, and harvest more organic ganja than you and all of your friends could smoke in 3 lifetimes. Whoa, that's a lot of pot.
You're from America? Yep. So you think you can just come over to Europe, grow some weed, and make a whole bunch of money? Doesn't work like that.
All I know is, after how some of y'all treated the son, the Lord felt the need to hide his daughter. And he hid her in the most sacred of sacred places.
They have only one chance to get it right and to meet one goddess. Would you like to meet the Green Goddess?
Me, I want to meet her. I do. Come out. Come out. We're going to have to try to meet her after the show.
I understand.
Wish you guys could join us for that, but, you know, you can do it yourself. I know you can. Just have faith. Okay, you can call us tonight at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. And so, yeah, it's a little disappointing that our initiatives haven't made it, but, you know, defeat is not an option. We're in it to win it, and this is about civil rights. Just because we lose,
freedom.
We're going to keep going at it until we win.
It always has been about freedom.
Exactly. We have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Yeah, hello. How are you guys doing?
Excellent.
Pretty well. How about
All
you?
right. No, not bad. Yeah, I work for the Brown Package Car Company, you know.
Uh-huh.
Worked there for quite a while, and I had degenerative disc disease.
Bummer.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Go ahead.
That hurts.
Yeah, it does, especially with my job, you know.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
And I was just wondering, I was thinking about using or finding out more about medicinal medicine, but I'm kind of afraid with my job being big company, you know, corporate America. Is there any privacy acts to protect me or?
Yeah. Well, there's unless you tell your employer or your employer performs urinalysis testing, then they would not know. Your records are completely private in the hands of the Oregon Health Department by law. And in fact, they went to court to protect patients' privacy when the federal government asked them to reveal patient records, as did we. And we had a grand jury subpoena quashed when the federal courts and the DEA tried to look into our patient records. And in fact, the chief judge for the Eastern District of Washington, in his ruling back in 2007, wrote that THCF medical clinics records represent the implementation and therefore the success of the state's medical marijuana program, and therefore they are protected from intrusion and production for a grand jury subpoena. Now, grand jury subpoenas are very broad and very powerful, so the fact that we were able to do that was pretty earth-shattering.
Well,
so you are completely protected in your privacy. Now, also, if you have a medical marijuana permit and you undergo urinalysis testing, as long as you have a prescription for Marinol, then you can test positive, because the urinalysis testing can't tell the difference between, or even blood testing can't tell the difference between synthetic Marinol and organic marijuana.
Okay, well, when we take our DOT test, you know, that we're required to do once every 2 years,
Yes. Yeah.
it is mandatory that we list all medications on that form. Because I had gotten, because of my back pain before, my doctor was prescribing me Percocet, and I didn't say anything, and then
Is that
one
all
day,
prescribed medications?
yes, but once I
This is
Once
not a prescription.
they found out,
Marijuana
they
is
pulled
not
me
a
off
prescribed
work for 2
substance.
months.
What?
Once they found out that I was taking Percocet, they pulled me off my job for 2 months.
Oh,
Made me go under psychiatric evaluation and everything.
I see. Well, they wouldn't know about marijuana. You wouldn't have to put it down because it's not a prescribed substance.
Really?
Yeah. If you had a prescription for Marinol, then you could list that, and that wouldn't cause any problem with your Department of Transportation certification.
Well, is Marinol a stimulant, though? And
No,
can you
Marinol
drive
is synthetic THC. THC, or tetrahydrocannabinol, is the psychoactive ingredient in cannabis. It has some utility in nausea and wasting syndrome and for people undergoing chemotherapy, and it's been prescribed for neuropathic pain.
Are you safe to drive with that prescription, though?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know that. That's nice to know.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks a lot, guys. You helped me out a lot.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too. If you have a question or comment for us tonight, gee, we've got about 5 minutes to go. Give us a call at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. You know, a moment ago they popped a list of conditions on the screen there that qualify for medical marijuana. Chronic pain is the largest single category, and probably 60 to 70% of all the people who have medical marijuana in the United States have it for a chronic pain condition. Also, chronic and severe nausea, and anything that causes chronic pain or chronic and severe nausea. Also, as it says there, AIDS, glaucoma, gastrointestinal ailments like IBS and Crohn's disease and GERD. Also, seizure disorders like epilepsy and spastic conditions like Tourette's and asthma and multiple sclerosis. Neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and gastrointestinal ailments, and cancer and AIDS as well. So if you have any of those conditions or you know someone that does, we have doctors all across the United States ready, willing, and able to help you from sea to shining sea, all the way from Providence, Rhode Island, out to Honolulu and Kapa'a in Hawaii. So give us a call at 1-800-723-0188. If you need to find a doctor who can help you qualify for medical marijuana, and you have a qualifying condition and medical documentation of that, then our doctors are ready and willing and able to help. Call us at 1-800-723-0188, or you can call us here in Portland locally at 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. Always have to get that plug in there.
I know. That's right. That's right. That's what you're doing.
So yeah, this is a pretty hefty little top.
I'd say so.
And we had a pretty nice harvest. It wasn't quite as good as last year's, and we had a lot more mold this year. It was a lot wetter year.
Yes.
But you know, my lemon pledge strain in particular did not mold at all. Throughout is very mold resistant. It's a high sativa strain. It has these narrow sativa leaves and a very strong aroma and flavor. And it's won these awards based on that aroma and flavor. We hope maybe it will again. We'll find out. We have a caller standing by, though. Welcome to our show, caller.
Talk about good.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I have a few questions.
Sure. All right.
Can I get a close-up of that lovely plant on the counter that you have?
Oh, I think maybe, who wants to do a close-up? You want to do a close-up, camera two? Or there's one close-up, I think. A couple of them are...
There you go. Yeah, it looks lovely.
It is. I wish you could smell it, because that's what it's one for, is based on its smell and aroma. And so...
Well, I was just curious. Oh, it looks very good. Yeah,
it's out of focus.
Picture.
That's all right.
They keep trying.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
There you have it. We'll have some more buds on the camera here in just a minute.
I had shattered my right heel, and I have chronic arthritis because I broke growth plates, and a good supporter of what you're trying to do here and everything. And I was just curious as to what you thought about the voting that happened more recently.
Well, of course, I'm not happy that here in Oregon, ballot measure 74 lost. We supported that. It would have created a lot of jobs and helped medical marijuana patients. And down in California, I was a very strong and vocal supporter of Prop 19, but we were disappointed that that lost by about 3.5%. So you know, it's disappointing, but like I said a moment ago, defeat is not an option. We're fighting for our rights, and we're going to keep fighting for them until we win.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I do agree with all that, and I'm sorry to hear. I've been living in Moab, Utah, and, well,
it's a little tougher there.
Utah wants to, or Moab wants to secede from Utah anyways, so go be
I
a
love
part
the
of
Arches
Colorado and
National Park
and
there.
Oh, the national parks are awesome. Yeah, Arches are cool.
The Colorado
but
River
they're
running
still
through
part
there.
of
It's a beautiful
Utah,
area. I've
you
been through there once, a few years
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Well, it's a very gorgeous place, but my other question is, you just told, I think, the last caller that even if they have their card, that they're legal to drive. What about if they're...
Well, I said they're legal to use Marinol and still drive. You can't smoke marijuana before driving. You can't be high when driving. That's the same as driving while intoxicated. But if you take Marinol to an extent that doesn't have a psychoactive response, then you can drive and work.
Right. That's what I mean. I just wanted to make sure that was what was portrayed instead of
I was
that
talking
last
about
caller.
using Marinol.
I was watching and I was like, well, I can get lit and drive, and it's cool.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. They lose your license and go to jail and court and
DUI, yeah, it's
all of that.
unfortunate because the pigs should be sniffing somewhere else other than that. But whatever. They'll do what they'll do.
Well, I want to thank you. We're down to just less than 2 minutes to go, so we got to.
All right, well, I appreciate your time.
Thanks for your call. That's a good point. Yeah, I wanted to make it very clear that you cannot use marijuana and drive. In fact, we recommend you don't carry marijuana in your passenger compartment if driving. You know, we're about out of time here, so we're going to go out with some more music by Mr. Tim Pate, and we'll be back next week, so stay tuned. Here's Tim Pate. Tune in and help us restore hemp. Good night.